The Browns, they're putrid. They're the worst team in the NFL.
The 2024 season is over.
Lamar Jackson can't win the playoffs. He'll win a third MVP, though, so that's great.
Drew Sample is the most important piece of the Bengals offense next year.
Go Joe Burrow. He deserves to be MVP. I wish he was the Browns quarterback. Kind of mean that.
If you're looking for the most reactionary, silly, and unserious show on the internet, then you're home. Live from Hamilton, Ohio, it's Off the Bench by Chatterbox Sports on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, good morning, everybody. We are off and rolling here on a Friday. Happy Friday, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Justin Kinner, Elliot Rearing, Jacob Tissett, Casey McAllister, the guys back in this Hamilton studio. I'm back here in Dayton, of course, but we're up and rolling. Guys, good morning. How are we? How was the show yesterday at Champions? I know that was a fun show to be a part of, especially the first day of the NCAA tournament. Always a blast, but welcome. Happy Friday.
Yeah.
It was a grand old time.
It was a fun time. It was listen, being in a place that has like 1 million TVs for March Madness is the ideal situation, and we got to be lucky and be there. So thank you to Champions for having us. Hopefully maybe next year we run it back. This is my favorite 2 days of the year.
Yeah.
I was at Champions yesterday from 8:55 A to 10:00 or maybe 10:20.
There we go.
P.
There we go. How many meals? 2 or 3?
I don't know. I lost count.
You definitely had at least 2 full meals.
I lost count. I had one full meal.
And 1 full meal of popcorn?
And then, then popcorn,
Okay.
and then I had a brownie at some point.
There we go. That's a good day.
We had it all. I'm a little bit tired just because your eyes get strained from just staring
that
at
blue
ball.
light's no joke.
Oh, no, it's not a joke at all. Luckily for me, I've got that filtered in on my glasses.
There we go. You love those glasses.
I love them.
They work real well. No headaches.
They've caused headaches for a week straight. I still have a headache in the back of my head right now. I'm between various serious medical conditions on WebMD between them, what that could be. But that's beside the point. I'm very, very happy to be here. Very, very happy for the Friday of March Madness. It's going to be a spectacular day today. I know everybody was a little bit sad about, not enough upsets, not enough buzzer beaters. Today's the day it's going to go crazy. I promise today's the day it's going to go crazy. Last year it was Friday, the day that went crazy. It's going to be today that we're going to have something fun that happens.
We
always
also
happens.
Have to remember, as much as we want upsets on Thursday and Friday, it is a good thing when we get to, next week and the week after that the good teams are still sticking around. I mean, the Cinderella runs are always great, and that's part of what makes March Madness awesome, but no one wants to see Loyola Chicago in the Final Four again.
No.
So, get some upsets under our belt today. Let's have fun, and then let's get back to chalk going into the Sweet 16.
I thought your argument months and months and months ago was that you did want the Cinderella run.
It's fun. My team's a 2 seed this year, so not really.
So now, your team's at 12. It's all about that Cinderella story.
Absolutely.
That's fair.
The thing about
as we've worked together long enough, my favorite thing is when I do call you out on that, you're just like, well, no, now it impacts me, so now we change the narrative.
No, I'm very upfront that I change my takes based on how it affects my personal teams.
The thing about the Cinderella story, you want either a lot of them or none of them. Because
That's true.
If you get the one and they somehow get to the Elite Eight and get their doors blown off, it's not really that fun. I love a Cinderella story. I'm not going to complain about any upset that happens.
Of course
today.
not. Well,
I'm just saying Jacob's argument right there is being that we want to see either the good versus the good or the bad versus the bad.
That's
probably.
true. That's true.
Like we don't want to see good versus bad because obviously good's going to win.
Like Alabama State versus whoever they played in Dayton, one of the better games of the tournament so far, if you consider that tournament game. And then they turn around and they play Auburn. I guess that was even all right.
You gotta temper your expectations. And Everett just called out my hoodie. I tried to rep my Kansas gear. We all lost a responsible amount of money on Kansas yesterday. That was disappointing. Kansas, biggest choke job I've ever seen in my entire life. That team didn't know how to dribble or pass or shoot. Looked a lot like the University of Cincinnati, if I'm going to be completely honest. But yeah, I listen. I'm here on a Friday. I am very, very excited that today is the Friday of March Madness. Very excited.
Yeah,
my
look,
voice might be a little bit gone.
We wanted those upsets, but I'm glad we didn't get the one in particular because now we get John Calipari against, obviously, Rick Pitino.
I guess that was an upset, right?
Arkansas.
It was what?
Wasn't Kansas 7 and Arkansas
Yeah,
10?
Yeah.
So I guess that was an upset.
That was an upset technically.
Yeah, we defer on the definition of an upset in those particular situations.
Oh yeah, you said they were favored. Yeah.
I wanted an Omaha victory last night. I was cheering for that.
Yeah, Elliot texted me last night at about 10:30. He goes, I have $25 on Omaha money line.
Oh, I would have been so rich.
He wanted them to be beating up some trash cans at whatever arena they're playing.
Oh, it would have been so much fun.
We'll get back into we'll recap day one of the tournament and look ahead to today, where some of that magic come into place a little bit. By the way, I met quite a few Chatterbox listeners the other night when Xavier was in town.
Oh, very nice.
I had really enjoyed myself cheering on a rival of Dayton at their arena. I made some enemies here in this city, but I made a lot of friends with some Xavier fans over the week.
There we go.
During the week. But yeah, Reed came down. He came up, I guess. He came up to Dayton and watched Xavier. We had a few drinks. I had a few more than he did. It was a good time. It was a good time watching Xavier come back. I know it kind of killed your SEC narrative a little bit, but Gustavo
SEC looks
That
tough.
was tough. Yeah, no, that was distantly the biggest loser yesterday, but I think we're going to get into that later in the show.
Good old
Casey.
SEC.
Casey, good morning. How are we? It brought a smile to my face to see you doing the show yesterday with the beer sitting right in front of you. I was never more proud of you than I was yesterday.
Yeah, it was a fun time yesterday. It was a good show. March Madness is a fun time for many sports fans, and I spent it, watching U.S. men's soccer and watching the finale of Severance.
U.S. men's soccer, golden generation. They've certainly won, right?
No.
Right. Panama upset.
Panama?
Yeah.
They still
We own their canal, and they beat us in soccer.
They still can't beat Panama?
Yeah, no, it's this is supposed to be the golden generation. This is the time we finally do it. World Cup coming to the U.S. Panama.
Oh, Casey.
Panama.
Oh,
And people thought there wasn't enough upsets yesterday. There you go. All right. By the way, Reds opening day is now officially less than a week away. I did see some comments earlier in the week because we always put Reds on the ticker at the bottom, and it's always the intention to get there. It's been a busy week, a lot of college basketball. I don't feel bad about it, but I do feel bad if you're upset that we haven't got to Reds. We will get into the Reds today. I have an update on it. Maybe you guys talked about it yesterday. I can't remember when the news came out, but we now know who the fifth starter is in the rotation. So we'll get to that coming up around the corner. Also, the Reds give an extension to a piece that they added in the offseason. Thought it was an interesting extension. A lot of people some confused by it, others liked it. We'll talk about that coming up around the corner as well. But we'll do all that stuff coming up. We'll talk more about day 2 of the college basketball NCAA tournament. T. Higgins' information came out on his contract extension. A lot of people feel like he got hosed. A lot of people feel like he really does love the Bengals. If there was ever a player that truly loves the Bengals, it might be him based on some of the stuff with this contract. We'll figure all that out coming up around the corner. But before we do that, let's send it to Elliot as we kick off the show with Elliot's headlines.
Score updates, breaking news, local and national headlines, whatever's going on in the world of sports, Elliot has you covered. Off the Bench brings you Elliot's headlines.
No.
You told me to dispose of it. It's gone.
It's good. It should be gone. That thing might be cursed. Headlines. We'll start with headlines. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of college basketball. We're going to talk about more later. But I'll just read the scores from yesterday. Creighton, they destroyed Louisville 89-75. Started off bad yesterday for old Ellie Rue.
Ramifications of that game, Pat Kelsey came out afterwards, said they plan to spend $8 to $10 million in the transfer portal next year on the roster.
Okay, there we go. Listen, in all the great misjustices of sports, that might be one of the worst, having Louisville be an 8 seed and get bounced so easily to Creighton. That doesn't sit right with me. It's unfortunate that they lost. Now, in hindsight, obviously, maybe they didn't deserve it if they're going to get blown out by Creighton like that, but on a home court, mind you. It just seems terrible that they had to lose like that. Moving on to Purdue,
at least Pat Kelsey didn't lose his mind or anything during the game.
I think it was right. I think he was right to lose his mind. Toss water on the floor and everything like that. I actually am going to stand by our elder guy, Pat
Your
Kelsey.
elder guy.
Our elder guy.
Bomber would never.
Purdue crushed 13 seed High Point 75-63. Montana, they got blown out by 3-seeded Wisconsin. Number 1 Houston, they dismantled SIU Edwardsville 78-40. They trailed 4-0 in that game.
They sure did. Yeah, no, suffocation. That's Houston basketball. Playing them is hell, I would imagine, for a 16 seed.
Yeah, it is. Number one Auburn. They win by 20 against 16 seed Alabama State.
Important for some people.
They cover. They did cover the spread. Alabama State covered the spread. There was a point in the first half
when
where
we
got a little dicey.
when Elliot and I bet Alabama State plus 22. We had zero intention of them losing that game by 20.
correct.
We bet that fully expecting them to at least keep it close on the money line front.
I expected them. I bet 22.5, but it was really a money line bet.
Yeah.
Clemson. How about this one? They scored an NCAA tournament low, 13 points in the first half. Then what happened? How about scoring 54 in the second? 54 second half points, 13 first half points. They lose to McNeese 69-67. That is McNeese's first NCAA tournament win. That was the game where I felt like that was going to be like our March moment, because they were down 10 points with 40 seconds, and they just kept hitting threes.
Yeah.
And my God, it was almost a miracle. They almost got it done. They came, I would say, about 1 minute shy. If they've had to play one more minute, Clemson wins that game and probably covers the spread.
If that game went to overtime, there was no doubt in my mind Clemson was covering that spread.
No doubt about it. Victor Locken fouled out. Shout out, Victor.
Are you guys a Will Wade guy? Are you guys a Will Wade guy?
Love him. Absolutely love him. I think he's incredible.
So do I.
He won a tournament game at McNeese before his replacement at LSU won an NIT game.
Yikes.
So, fun fact there. Maybe don't jump the gun and fire great coaches.
BYU. Go ahead.
Sorry, real quick. No, the Will Wade thing. He did an interview earlier in the week because everyone was pressing him about him being linked to the NC State job. And he brought up the point now, like, you know, there's a lot of people criticizing him because he brought forth to the team that, hey, yes, I am interviewing for the NC State job. There's some interest there. I'm just letting you know. There's media out there that are furious at him because why would you do that and create, you know, a distraction for your team? Did they look distracted yesterday? His response with the media was, listen, with the portal, he goes, he knows half his team is being talked to by other teams and looking at other teams right now while preparing for an NCAA tournament game. So rather than turn that into a bad thing, accept the fact that that's today's college athletic landscape. So he's going to be as forthcoming with his players as they are with him. He asked that they be transparent with him, and he'll be transparent with them. He'll let them know everything that's going on with his search if they do the same thing. That way they're all on the same page. And I love it. Everyone's equal now. Everyone has the chance to just come and go as they please. And I think Will Wade's one of the first to kind of look at them as equals in that situation and be transparent with them. And now there's no distraction. And they did not look distracted yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool story. I wouldn't take the NC State job if I'm him. I would be a little bit more patient. I think he can get a better job than NC State.
I agree.
He dropped he dropped in his post-game press conference that Nova's trying to buy him out currently. So
Really?
Could end up.
I agree. There is a better job available. It's at the University of Cincinnati, because I will wait for you.
Another interesting thing about the Will Wade, when he signed at McNeese, he promised the AD 2 years. He said this isn't going to be a one-stop and I go somewhere else. Did not interview for a single job last cycle.
Yeah.
Kept his word, stayed at McNeese all the way through. There was a great picture after they won yesterday of him jumping in the AD's arms. No one was hiring Will Wade. He was sitting there, basically out of the sport of basketball, and they gave him a shot. So it's always cool to see those things work out, especially with a coach that, I think is one of the better ones in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. BYU, they beat VCU 80-71. Gonzaga, they dominated Georgia 89-68. Shout out to Georgia. What a disgrace they are.
Beat St. John's earlier this year.
I guess. Tennessee, they won 77-62 over Wofford. Kansas, as I mentioned, they lost its first round game of the tournament since 2006. They had not lost a first round tournament game since 2006.
You add Hunter Dickinson to your team, you see what happens.
That's right. Coach Cal in Arkansas, they win 79-72. That was disgusting. A disgusting display of basketball. Moving over to Yale. Yale lost to Texas A&M 80-71. Drake upset Missouri 67-57 for their first NCAA win.
It turns out all Drake had to do to win an NCAA tournament game was get rid of Darian DeVries.
That's right.
Shout out Indiana. Woof.
Yikes. UCLA won by nearly 30 last night over Utah State, 72-47. Our guy Mick Cronin keeps dancing. Nebraska, Omaha, as we mentioned, they had it close to the first half. They had it close. They were down 2 with seemingly the final possession. They dribbled the ball off their foot, so St. John's got the last shot. It was an and one. Go up by 5 at the half, and I don't think they scored again. So shout out to Nebraska Omaha. They fought valiantly for a half and then got blown out of the gym. 83-53 the final score. UC San Diego, Came up just short against Michigan, 68-65. Very, very bad for some of us who had UC San Diego plus 2.5.
Turns out when your tallest player is 6'8" and you haven't played a 7-footer all year, playing on a team with 2 7-footers might be a little bit of a shock to the system.
Might be, but that was close. I mean, it was a game, and they had a chance to tie it up and force overtime. So it was a good game. They came back. I think they were down like 20 at some point, almost 20 at least. And then finally, the last game of the slate last night, Texas Tech. They pulled away from NC Wilmington for a 10-point victory. NC Wilmington fought in that game up until I would say 4 minutes left in the game. They were in it, so absolutely a solid first day of the tournament. I'm not going to complain about it yet. Some gambling nuggets from the first day. I believe favorites 12-4 straight up, 9-7 against the spread. Unders went 9-7 yesterday. Obviously, the top 4 seeds, 8-0 straight up, 5-3 against the spread. Your outright upsets yesterday were Creighton +3, Drake +5.5, Arkansas +5, and McNeese State +7. So those are some March Madness nuggets from yesterday. Moving over to the NBA, the association, the Lakers, they scored 89 points in their 30-point loss to the Bucks last night. It was an off night for Luka. So who do they call? It's time for Bronny. It's time for Bronny. He led Lakers in scoring with 17 points. That is a career high.
That's right.
For Bronny James.
More
Good for
points,
him.
more points than every player picked after him in the draft has scored in the NBA this year combined.
That's right. That's right. He has now more 3-pointers all time than Ben Simmons, I believe.
Wow, very cool.
So how about that?
My main thing I want from this whole thing is I just want 1 year, 1 season with a James Senior jersey.
Okay.
That's all I want. Just give me 1 year with the James Senior jersey.
I would like that.
So cool.
I would like that. Again, the Lakers lost by 30.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's a regular season.
Pacers and the Nets, they went to overtime. Indiana does escape with a victory. And the Knicks have now lost 3 of 4, including the Spurs and the Hornets last night. Charlotte wins 115-98. Heading over to the NHL, Ovechkin now 7 goals away from breaking Gretzky's all-time record. Capitals beat the Flyers 3-2. Ovechkin scores a goal, and the Capitals, with their win, they clinch a playoff berth in that process. The Columbus Blue Jackets, I think their magic's starting to run out a little bit. They have now lost 7 of 8. They have been shut out 4 times during that stretch. Not looking good for the old Columbus Blue Jackets. But those are your headlines.
All right, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, ESPN 1410 Wingham and Dayton. Step away, we'll pick up a college basketball talk when we come back. We'll wrap that up. Again, we'll take a look at the slate for today, upset alert picks for today. And I agree, I saw a lot of people say, hey, yesterday wasn't the most exciting day of the NCAA tournament. There's been some more exciting first days of the tournament, no doubt. But will that excitement pick up today? We'll talk about that when we come back. More Off the Bench when we return. We're going to talk Reds coming up around the corner. You know, last week I felt more like talking Reds because it was beautiful outside. It felt like baseball was upon us. Then you go outside today, and it's like maybe baseball just isn't on the tip of your tongue right now because it's freaking cold out, and it just doesn't make you think baseball's coming. I'm ready for baseball, no doubt, but baseball weather, that's really what I'm intrigued about. But opening day, less than a week away.
It's supposed to be cold on opening day, like high of 47.
Well, I keep seeing people keep posting the forecast for that day, and everyone's app is different with what I saw.
That's true.
I did see 57 last night.
Okay.
I can live with 57. I can handle 57. That's fine. That's not a big deal. But I always try to get seats over in the outfield over in left field, just because that's where the sun is beating down. The first year I ever went, we were on that first base side, and it's just shaded, and it was freezing and miserable. I wanted to go where the sun was beating down. So I'm looking forward to that next Thursday. Hopefully that sun is out. But it says partly cloudy, at least for right now. But either way, we'll get to the Reds in a moment. Day 2 of the NCAA tournament. You guys agree? I think you guys mentioned a little bit. It was just kind of a dull day. It wasn't a bad day, but there was nothing exciting. The games were good. That it's created some good second-round matchups already for the games that were played yesterday. You're going to get to see Rick Pitino against, obviously, John Calipari in Arkansas against St. John's. There's some good stuff there. I'm excited to see what McNeese does, moving forward. Are they going to build off that momentum with knocking off Clemson? How deep can that 12-seed run go into the tournament? I don't even know who they have next. I didn't pay attention to who they had next in the bracket. But I'm excited about that. There's some good stuff coming out of yesterday's games. It just wasn't the most exciting. There wasn't major upsets. There was no buzzer beaters or anything like that. Still a good day of basketball, however.
Yeah, then McNeese plays the team that's ripest for an upset. They play Purdue next round. So if you're a Cinderella, I think you just lick your lips when you have a chance to play Matt Painter. So maybe they can keep this rolling, and Will Wade can see how many more offers he can get before they get knocked out. But yeah, I think yesterday was very, very fun. We had enough games where, the fact that we were, sweating the number 1 overall seed for the whole first half and whether or not they were going to lead that game, that was pretty cool. And even though they pulled away, I feel like a lot of those games were pretty good. And I think at some point it is nice to sit back and watch college basketball and say, okay, the teams I've watched, all year long that are really good, they're really good for the most part. So I do think that, it is a sigh of relief for, those of us that have watched college basketball for a while.
Jacob kind of brought it up yesterday, and I do think he's going to be right. I think this is going to be more top-heavy this year than it's been in a long time, more chalk. But I do think this is March. This is always going to be March. Yeah. There's going to be something that shocks you. There's going to be a buzzer beater, and that's what we're all waiting for. And I think today's the day. Thursday has become the day to slowly build it, and then we go. I think so far the Xavier-Texas game is the game of the tournament. That was unbelievable. That gave me every March feeling that I could have possibly wanted. Obviously, it didn't go my way in that particular matchup, but I think that's what we need more of, and I think that's what we're going to get tonight. I think you're going to see some big upsets tonight. I'll stand by that.
Yeah, real quick too. You mentioned Will Wade again a little bit ago. Indiana and DeVries, whoever they hired, but do you think they'll regret not being a little bit more patient and waiting it out just a little bit more? Do you think Indiana's going to regret not hiring Will Wade?
I don't know about Will Wade. I think this decision was, the way that it's coming out, all this information that he found out this, I don't know what,
November.
Before the year started, and his kid played just the right amount of games so he could still get his full year of eligibility. The way that it's all coming out, I would have absolutely not done this because that seems like a massive, massive mistake. Good luck to him. I think they're off to a horrendous start. I think he's a fine basketball coach. Indiana needs a little bit more than that, though.
I was going to say, I think he's a great basketball coach. I think he's going to win a lot of games. Obviously, almost got West Virginia. Should have got West Virginia to the tournament this year. Did it with Drake year in and year out. But Indiana's trying to build a program here, and I just don't know if I would want the face of my program to be someone who's willing to, pack up his team's best player, be it his son or not, take him with him to his next team, and basically quit on the team that hired him the year before. That's not something. And if I'm an Indiana fan, I'm sure I'd have a different tune, and I'd be very happy about having a coach who has some proven regular season success come to Indiana and hopefully get us over the hump, a name that people recognize. We're going to have a star player next year. It's an exciting move for Indiana fans, but from the outside looking in, that's just not a guy that I would want, to be the face of my program after something like that.
Biggest disappointment from day one. Which team was the biggest disappointment yesterday, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'll say it. It was the SEC. It was the entire SEC. I expected them to have really, really good showing. Obviously, 14 teams in the tournament, and so far they have not quite lived up to it. Obviously, Arkansas got the win over Kansas. All the 1s and 2 seeds advanced. Auburn advanced, and Tennessee advanced. But other than that, it certainly wasn't pretty. Missouri lost by 10 to Drake. We have some other lower seeds going today, and it wasn't what we expected as SEC fans. It was what some other haters outside of the SEC expected. But the thing I texted Elliott and asked him, it was, how many wins does it take for you to just dunk on me in the SEC into the oblivion until you're done, until you die? And he was like, you're not going to win a lot of games. It's going to be over. I said, well, what happens when we win, 10 games and 2 of those teams are in the Final Four and we win the championship? So that is the nice thing about having 14 teams in the tournament, 2 1 seeds, the 2 betting favorites, 2 2 seeds, the top 2 seeds in Tennessee and Alabama is, no matter how many of these first-round teams keep losing, the good ones, will have a shot.
Georgia was down, I want to say, like
30-5 was the score.
I mean,
30-5.
You shouldn't get to play basketball anymore.
Okay, that's the 6th best team in the country, Ken Pop.
You shouldn't get to play basketball anymore. I don't care what seed they are. I mean, that's absolutely outrageous to be down 30-5. I know Clemson scored 13.5, but my God. My biggest disappointment.
Yeah, I was going to say the only thing worse than the SEC was the ACC yesterday.
Louisville
and Clemson.
I was going to say my biggest disappointment is absolutely the ACC. I mean, Louisville. Listen, I'm a Louisville guy. I'm a Pat Kelsey guy. How they played yesterday, it wasn't good. They were clearly. I don't know if they were frustrated. I don't know if they were too injured. If they were too banged up. I don't know what the deal was with Louisville. But the end. I mean, I think Creighton went on a 20-2 run with about like 2 minutes left in that first half, and it just took Louisville out of the game completely. I was very, very disappointed in that performance. The Clemson performance again. I mean, I'm not going to say it. I was a Clemson cover away from $600, but I was a Clemson cover away from $600 yesterday. Very, very disappointed in them. If you had to go to another disappointing team, I don't think there was really another. I would have liked to see UC San Diego win. I thought that would have been a cool story. But Michigan, I mean, credit to Michigan.
Yeah, they're hot.
They're very hot. They won the Big Ten, came into the tournament. I thought they were going to be fatigued. They look good. I mean, they just look good. They kind of fell apart towards the end there, but they look pretty solid. Outside of that, it was a pretty bland day, and today it's going to get good.
Yeah, the Louisville thing was interesting. I like Pat Kelsey. I was not a fan of his radio hit after Selection Sunday when he went. I mean, your team just made the tournament. It's the best season Louisville has had since the Pitino debacle many moons ago, and you spent the majority of your press throughout the week complaining about where you were seated and who you had to go up against. And when you do that, when you start building that victim mentality with your team, I think it leaks into the morale and the mindset of the team. We saw this in college football with Florida State, and I bring this up all the time. Like the second Norvell came out and began the We're the Victim tour, they have not been the same program since. Louisville did the We're the Victim tour, and look, it came back and bit them in the ass right away. You had a home court tournament game. You had the home court advantage, and you didn't even let it play out at all. You got, they jumped you early, made it a little interesting for a bit, but ultimately they pulled away. I just wasn't a fan of Louisville. I thought they were pretty disappointing yesterday from that standpoint right there. I just didn't like going to the media and complaining about that stuff. You're not going to accomplish anything. They're not going to call you back and say, you're right, sir, my bad. Let's get you reseated. Let's restart this. You didn't accomplish anything with that, and now it just makes it look worse. But especially because you had the home court advantage.
In hindsight,
and I like Kelsey, but I just didn't like that.
In hindsight, it does make it look worse for sure. And you guys are right. It's a home game. There's certainly an advantage in that, right? Saying that, it's literally never happened before where a team has been so misseeded. They in the past, what did I say, 15 years, the 13th ranked team has never been seeded lower than a 5. They were given an 8 seed. Like that, that's a talking point. You have to discuss that because it's never happened before. I understand what you're saying. It looks bad. It looks horrific now. You can't come out and say that you're disappointed with how the seeded you guys got screwed. I get all that. Saying it's just never happened before in that type of fashion. So I understand Pat Kelsey and what he was saying.
I still stand by the fact that they got a benefit of playing at home, and they didn't use any opportunity to use that to their advantage. If that game would have been close at any point, that crowd would have erupted and it would have been all in Louisville's favor. They did not use that to their advantage. That's on them. I have zero sympathy for Louisville.
They were really. I know the game was kind of close with 10 minutes to go in the first half. That game, like they looked terrible.
Yeah,
It
horrendous.
was, when we started the live stream yesterday, it was visibly noticeable that they weren't the Louisville that we saw during the regular season. Now you have the talking point that the ACC meant literally nothing, which might scare. I mean, if you're a Duke believer like I am, that might scare you a little bit because Duke played literally nobody during the conference. So I don't know how that looks for them. I don't know who they played. They won by 40 every single week down the stretch.
Lost to Clemson.
They did lose to Clemson, so it kind of rattles my brain a little bit as to what's going on there. But Louisville, in my mind, was the biggest disappointment by far yesterday. The fact them losing in blowout fashion to Creighton at home is disappointing.
Another team too, and it's a surprising stat for them. It's not like I had a lot of stock in Missouri, even though I do. Missouri's a very good team now, a very good program now. Dennis Gates, I'm a big fan of his, but I just saw today that they have 24 trips to the NCAA tournament. They have there's only 2 teams that have made the tournament more than them that have yet to make a trip to the Final Four, BYU and Xavier. Wow. But I thought that was wild. But they are third. Missouri has the third most trips to the NCAA tournament without a trip to the Final Four. Thought it was interesting that Xavier was on that list along with BYU. But I thought I'm a fan of Dennis Gates. I think what he's done turning Missouri around. They said that they had 0 attendance 2 years ago, and since he's come back, they sold out every home game this year. They're beyond competitive. They're very good in the transfer portal. Their recruiting's through the roof right now. Dennis Gates did a great job at Cleveland State when he was in the Horizon, and he's picked up right where he left off with Missouri. That was a disappointing loss yesterday, though, as you said, Jake, for not just them but the entire SEC yesterday. Not a great showing in day one.
I mean, Drake couldn't make a free throw yesterday, and they still won by 10 points. I don't know what their free throw percentage is on the year as a team, but they were legit like 7 of 17 at the line. I was like, come on, let's do something. I never believed in Missouri. I'm sure all that you said was good and true, and they had a good year and everything. I never believed in Missouri at one point during this season, and I'm very, very happy that I was proven right. Very happy.
50% from the line, Missouri. Or Drake.
Yikes.
Missouri didn't.
Not good.
24-26 from the line.
Yeah, what was the free throw discrepancy on that one?
The exact same amount of free throws.
Really?
Yeah, 24 for Drake, 26 for Missouri.
They ended up with 24?
Yeah.
Really? It was like 26 to 10 at one point. I guess they shot a lot of free throws late.
Missouri really didn't get out rebounded either. It was 30-27.
Yeah.
That's a weird game, man.
Team that you were most impressed with yesterday? Which team caught your attention? The team that you're like, oh man, I didn't have them going too far, but man, that team looked good. I'll let you know now. For me, it was UCLA. I thought UCLA looked outstanding yesterday. Obviously, Mick Cronin, former Bearcat coach, but I was interested in that matchup that they had with Utah State. Utah State's won 26 games on the season. They're one of the hottest teams heading into the tournament. I didn't have Utah State beating UCLA, but I also was one of those where I didn't feel comfortable about that matchup either. And UCLA, they blew them out, 72-47. Mick Cronin, UCLA, I could see them making a run now just from what we saw yesterday. There was no BS yesterday. They hit the ground running. I like UCLA. That's the team that caught my attention the most yesterday. As far as a team I didn't have a lot of expectations for, but really caught my attention.
We saw them have a really good year, but the team that jumped off the page to me yesterday was Wisconsin. After what happened in Indianapolis, it would have been very easy for that Michigan loss, blowout, terrible game in the Big Ten Championship to snowball into a loss in the first round. How many times have we seen that with the Big Ten especially, flaming out with their good teams early in the tournament? The fact that Wisconsin was able to turn it around. I know it's a 3-14. I know Montana's one of the worst teams in the entire tournament field, but the fact that they were able to turn them around, beat them by 20, never really break a sweat, really dominate that game, tip to final whistle. I thought that was really impressive, and I'm really excited for that next round game. Wisconsin's just a 1-point favorite over BYU. I think that's going to be one of the better games of the round of 32. I like both those teams a lot, and they both really showed me that they belonged in this tournament. And then the other one that was pretty clear, I know everyone was high on them, top 10 in Ken Pom, everything along those lines, 9 straight Sweet 16s, but what Gonzaga did to Georgia right off the rip was unbelievable. And then that is, without a doubt, the best game in the round of 32, Houston versus Gonzaga. That's going to be unbelievable to send a team to the Sweet 16.
I was going to take Gonzaga there. I think Gonzaga was incredible. I think Gonzaga's underrated. I think they were underseeded. And to be fair to the committee on that one, it's pretty difficult to seed a team in the WCC.
Yeah.
There's just no way of knowing how good they are. Gonzaga obviously has the pedigree of being great over the past, I don't know how many years.
Didn't watch a lot of WCC basketball this year. I didn't realize they lost to St. Mary's both times in the regular season, then beat them in the championship.
Oh, yeah. My best, I guess the team that I was most impressed impressed with yesterday. I know it's kind of my real pick was Gonzaga. My secondary pick is going to be Houston. 78-40. At no point during that game was it remotely competitive. I mean, they shot, I believe they were SIU Edwardsville. They were 15 of 50 from the field. They got out-rebounded 50-25. It was a complete and utter domination.
Houston had 32 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, it's insane. Houston's scary. I don't want to play Houston. I don't want any part of Houston if I was a team in this tournament.
Fair enough. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. Upset alert, which teams for today's matchup? So you circling which upsets do you feel the most confident about? We'll do that and then move over to baseball and the Reds. We'll be right back. More off the bench when we come back. NCAA tournament day number 2. Games continue coming up later on this afternoon as we wrap up college basketball before the games tip off coming up here in about an hour, just over an hour. Which matchups have you circled that have your attention? We'll get to the upsets in a second, but which matchups are you the most intrigued by, excited for today?
Baylor, Mississippi State, right off the rip. No idea who's going to win that game. That's a complete and utter toss-up. I would think I like Baylor in it just because I've seen them play more than I've seen Mississippi State play this year.
I would just rather see Baylor play Duke than Mississippi State play Duke.
I think that's fair too. So I'm gonna take Baylor to win that game. That's Roach, right?
It is. Yeah,
Okay,
Roach is their point guard. That's kind of why for me, Jeremy Roach, the point guard for Baylor, obviously the Duke point guard for many, many years. I think 3 years they're starting point guard at Duke. So that'd be a really fun storyline going into the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another one for me personally, Iowa State. They're down a player. I'd be curious to see how they do against Lipscomb. There's going to be an upset today. That's a guarantee. So if it's going to be Lipscomb over Iowa State, I could potentially see that. Another one that I'm very, very interested in is Kentucky.
Yeah,
Can they get over the hump finally with a new coach? I think Pope's got it in him, but I will say that spread's been beating me up for about a week now almost. 11 points seems like it's like a middle-of-the-road spread. Kentucky, I feel like, should beat this team by more. So I don't know. Seems like a trap game to me. And my final game that I'm intrigued by, obviously, is Xavier, Illinois. I think Xavier has a chance to go to the Sweet 16 again. I think they can beat Illinois and then maybe potentially beat Kentucky. Who knows? So
it really does come down to which Illinois team plays. We've seen so many different versions of that Illinois team this year. Brad Underwood hasn't been able to iron out any level of consistency. I mean, would they lose to Duke by 50?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens in that game, but certainly interesting.
I think Xavier has the momentum. And this is why I think playing in the first 4 does make it a little bit of a difference. Same way it did for everybody in college football this year.
When you see that ball go through the hoop,
when you get experience with the rims, when you know the experience, when you know what the crowd's going to be like when you get involved with that atmosphere early and be able to come away with a win, I think you have the edge when you play that second game. I do. I think you have the edge over Illinois in that matchup. So I think Xavier has a chance to do something special this year if they're able to get hot at the right time. Again, they got to avoid foul trouble. They can't lose Conwell and Fremantle as early as they maybe almost did against Texas late in the first half. But that's my number one game on the slate probably today that I'm very excited to watch.
2 that are really getting me excited. Sorry, go ahead, Kenner.
Oh, no. It was just to feed off what he said about playing in the first 4, gives you a little bit of a head start. Like, for instance, I mean, obviously they got blown out. It doesn't matter. But, I mean, you look at Alabama State. I think if you win your conference tournament, you're a 16 seed, you don't play in the first four, and you're just preparing for Auburn, you're just sitting there for days like, oh, crap, we got to play Auburn. But instead, you prepared for a first four game. You got the jitters out early because I remember Alabama State did not look good early in that game. Neither team did because of the nerves in the first four. Then all of a sudden, you're just playing basketball. Then you get an NCAA tournament win in dramatic fashion the way that they did. Now you take that momentum on the to the next round. Yes, it's still Auburn. Yes, you know that they're still the much better team, but you went out there and just picked up where you left off, and confidence-wise, it gave them a shot. I mean, they cut it to within 2 with about, I think, like 3 or 4 minutes to go in the first half. I mean, Auburn all of a sudden had their backs against the wall, and it was like, oh man, could this be the madness? Like, we're right off the bat. Could this be the madness to tip everything off? Auburn was up by 10 at the half and never looked back, but I do think that momentum carrying over from the first four gave that 16 seed a little bit of a push that I don't think they would have gotten if they didn't play in the first four. So, yeah. But either way, Jake, you were going to say something?
Yeah, the two games that, obviously Mississippi State Baylor, that first one's going to be awesome, but the other two games in the East region today I really, really like as well. Oregon versus Liberty, January, February, Altman. I don't give a damn about Tom Izzo. It's Dana Altman in Oregon, and they're going on a run this year. That's what they do. And Liberty, very, very fun 12 seed. They shoot a billion threes, and they kind of shoot them well. I think they're 38% from three-point this year, which is fine, but doesn't really make sense for how many they shoot. So very, very fun game. If they're hot, that could certainly be another 12-5 upset. I know we circled those, but then the 4-13 in the East region as well. Arizona versus Akron. I know a lot of people in this area have watched Akron a lot, obviously playing in the MAC, winning the MAC in the regular season, and then also in the MAC tournament. They're one of the fastest teams in the country in terms of pace of play and shots per possession. They're very, very fun to watch. Arizona, not the best matchup for them. That'll be a very fun game if Caleb Love slows down that Arizona offense, but if he's on and Arizona's running and shooting well, that could get ugly quick. But that'll be a very fun game as well if Akron can get out and run. Obviously, it's a 2:15, but I am excited to see my boys play. It's Alabama versus Robert Morris. I think that's going to be a really good game. Alabama against teams outside of the top 150, and Ken Pom has really had their way. The pace that Alabama plays with is the fastest in the country by a wide margin. If you know anything about the trapezoid of excellence, the teams inside are the only ones that can win. Alabama's nowhere close because they play with way too much pace. So that'll be a fun game. If Alabama's making shots, 15 seeds stand no chance. That's just kind of how it works with how many shots they get up. I think the other game that I really like coming in later tonight is my favorite Patino in the tournament, the Patino I have going the furthest, New Mexico versus Marquette. I think that's a 10-7 upset. I think that's one of the more fun upsets we could have today. Marquette a 3.5-point favorite. The Big East had a good day yesterday, but I think Patino, he ran the Big East in the regular season, so he'll run the Big East in the first round too, and just his brother.
I think Mouse Cop kind of switched me on Marquette. I'm on Marquette now for some reason. Maybe because I saw a little bit of the Big East yesterday, but I'm going to be betting on Marquette tonight. I changed my mind on that one. I think in my bracket I still have New Mexico winning, but I do like Marquette at this very moment. But there's a lot of good games today. I think there's going to be some chaos today. You mentioned that Alabama stat. Ironically, the one Alabama game I bet on this year was against North Dakota.
That's right. Yeah, Trayson Eaglestaff. I think he had 41.
Yeah, North Dakota. North Dakota put up 52 in the second half, and they only lost by 7 points in that game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take Robert Morris.
What was Trayson Eaglestaff's stats in that game?
40 points.
Yeah, that's right. He's coming to Bama next year.
1 assist.
Just entered the portal 2 days ago.
Did he?
Oh, yeah.
Bearcat.
No, he's spoken for. Old NATO's
Bearcat.
pulling those strings. He's spoken for. Scored 52 in their championship game in their conference.
Did he
They
really?
lost, but yeah.
The another upset that I have, not really upset, but upset alert, if you will, Colorado State and Memphis. Colorado State, the 12 seed, Memphis a 5. I think Memphis is a vulnerable 5. Look, Colorado State, they've won 10 in a row. They're one of the hottest teams coming in to this. I think that matchup right there, you could circle and say that there's an upset possibility, with that one. St. Mary's and Vanderbilt. Not really an upset one right here, but, St. Mary's, too. I'm curious to see how I like that matchup. St. Mary's, too, by the way. Everyone views them as the underdog in this going up against Vanderbilt just because Vanderbilt's in the SEC. Obviously, St. Mary's the 7th seed. Vanderbilt coming in at the 10. The one I'm very interested in, Maryland is a 4 seed. Grand Canyon is a 13 seed. The Grand Canyon's made the NCAA tournament for the last 5 years. Grand Canyon, I'm all in on them winning. They have to win because I found out something about Maryland that I don't know if you guys know. Maybe you do. But there is a certain player on Maryland's team that I am no longer a fan of once I found out who he is and who his sister is, okay? There is a player on Maryland named Julian Reese. Julian Reese Yes, Julian Reese, the brother of Angel Reese. So therefore, I am all for Grand Canyon. Bring on, what are the Grand Canyon? What are they? The Grand Canyon Falcons? What are they?
Antelopes, I believe.
Yeah, they're not the Falcons.
Antelopes.
All right. Well, if they're the Antelopes, I'm a big Antelope fan today. I'm just saying. But to be fair, Julian Reese averages just under a double-double, 20. I think he's close to 20 points and 9 rebounds. Yeah. I haven't checked to see what his offensive rebound stats are, but I think she has him beat in that. But, yeah, Julian Reese, the brother of Angel Reese.
How about that?
I can't go for Maryland. Go
Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon. Alabama played them last year on the way to the Final Four. A lot of those guys back on this Grand Canyon team. Tyon Grant Foster, their senior guard. He is one of the most exciting mid-major players in all of college basketball. He is a microwave scorer. He's 6'7". He's absolutely incredible to watch. Grand Canyon's a really, really fun team. I think Maryland can make the Final Four. I think Maryland's starting lineup is that good. Derek Queen is unbelievable. I really like what they've done with these freshmen, this starting lineup. It is so fun to watch Maryland play that I just can't bring myself to bet against them because I don't want to be done watching Derek Queen play.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bet on Maryland in that game, and I'm probably going to take them, in the next round and after that, and maybe even after that, because they are one of my favorite teams to watch in all of college basketball. That would have probably changed if you would have told me that stat a couple months ago before I fell in love.
You mentioned Memphis, Colorado State. Memphis will be without. This was announced, I think, last night. They will be without Tyrese Hunter against Colorado State. Obviously, all AAC guard for Memphis. So
Thus, Colorado State now favored. 2.5 point favorite.
Correct. So I will be taking Colorado State.
Can't be an upset. Can't be an upset. My bad. Got to take it off my list. Can't be an upset then.
Well, you said St. Mary's was the underdog to Vanderbilt. They're 5.5 point favorites to the 7th seed.
And so, we're done here then. You did it. You got me. I got nothing. Like I said, I have no problem. I get God. I'm like, well, damn, that just ain't that special.
I want to see. I'm rooting very, very hard for St. Mary's. I know I've been an SEC guy through and through all tournament, and it hasn't worked out for me. That's the one game I'm not rooting for, the SEC. I already saw Vanderbilt basically ruin Alabama's football season. They cannot ruin Alabama's basketball season.
That's right.
So I would much rather lose to St. Mary's, and once you get into that second round, it really is a coin flip anyway. You never know what can happen in March. So take care of Vanderbilt. Get them out of there. Let me give me an easier pill to swallow if an upset does happen.
So, Jake, you have all the confidence in the world, right? Robert Morris doesn't make this interesting today. They're not on upset alert against your Alabama Crimson side? Not even a little?
No. Bob Morris is a nobody. I've never heard of him in my life. I don't care what he does on the basketball court. I don't care what players they even have. Alabama is 25-8. They've beaten every good team in the country. We just talked about how good Houston is. They haven't lost a regulation game since November. Alabama beat them in the regular season. Alabama's beaten Auburn on their floor. Alabama's beaten Florida. They're one of the best teams in the country. They're the top 2 seed for a reason. They're not gonna trip over for Robert Morris.
I'm gonna take Robert Morris so hard.
21.5. Now, Robert Morris can absolutely cover that.
I'm going to absolutely take Robert Morris.
Bama's going to win.
Robert, I was going to say. By the way, all the reasons you just gave for why Alabama is so good. That's why it's called an upset.
That's right.
And that's why it's called an upset. Like, yes.
Upsets will come. Upsets will come.
Robert Morris has no business. But, maybe
no 1 or 2 seeds losing in the first round. No 1 or 2 seeds losing in the first round.
Ooh, this is going to be a great clip. Great clip.
I'll go a step further. No 1 or 2 seeds losing in the second round.
Oh, boy.
All 4 1s and 2s will be in the Sweet 16.
He's setting himself up right now. He's setting himself up.
All 8 1s and 2s will be in the Sweet 16.
He's setting himself up.
Not just Bama.
I like the confidence.
Everyone.
I like the confidence. Yeah, and he's probably not wrong. He's probably not wrong.
This year's way too top heavy. These 8 teams are so good. The one exception I would say is maybe St. John's against Arkansas.
Yeah.
All right, off the bench presented by United Dairy Farmers. Justin Kinner, Casey McAllister, Elliot Rearing, Jacob Tissett with you here. We'll step away. Let's talk Reds. We're less than a week away from opening day, and we found out a cool thing yesterday involving Marty Brenneman, which we'll get to coming up. Marty Brenneman will be honored at Great American Ballpark with a very cool display coming up that we'll discuss when we come back. Plus, we know who the 5th starter is in the rotation. The Reds also gave an extension to their new catcher that they added in the offseason. We'll get to all of that and more when we come back. More Off the Bench next. All right, we welcome you back off the bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, ESPN 1410 Wing AM in Dayton. The Cincinnati Reds announced yesterday that a bronze sculpture of Hall of Fame broadcaster Marty Brennaman will be unveiled outside of Great American Ballpark on September 6th. The sculpture will depict Marty behind the radio microphone as he was for 46 years with the Cincinnati Reds. How about that? Marty going to be enshrined at the ballpark with a cool bronze sculpture, him behind the mic. I think that's really cool. I mean, we see so many so many statues and other stuff put up outside of ballparks for legendary Hall of Fame players. But for a Hall of Fame broadcaster like Marty Brennaman, I think that's really damn cool that he is going to be honored outside the ballpark with the sculpture. I think that's really neat. And I'm happy for him, Tom, the Brennaman family. I think that's really cool. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that. That was pretty cool.
For those of us that have watched the Reds for their lifetime, you like a couple things are synonymous with the Reds. You talk about Pete Rose, you talk about the Big Red Machine, you talk about Marty Brennaman. I mean, Marty Brennaman is the Reds. You know, I grew up listening to him, and this one belongs to the Reds. It's got its own hashtag. I think that if you had to like pinpoint some of the greatest broadcasters, you know, radio broadcasters in baseball, Marty's my 1-1, because obviously I've listened to more of him than anybody else. I know there's obviously a couple other great ones out there in Los Angeles and Milwaukee, some former greats, but Marty Brennaman's always going to be my 1-1. There's nothing, and we were talking about it yesterday, I think, there's nothing like listening to a baseball game. You know, Reed brought it up on the live stream. It's just like there's something about baseball and listening to a game on the radio. It makes the game better. It really does. And if you have a good broadcaster on the radio, it's emotional almost how awesome it is. Marty deserves everything, every award he's going to get. And it's cool. I'm happy to see. I'm going to take probably thousands of pictures with that statue, and maybe I'm going to have to get kicked out of the stadium because of it. So I'm very, very excited. I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, I think obviously everyone knows how great of a broadcaster he was, how much he means to the Reds, but just the fact that even since his retirement, he still is right there, really every step of the way. The Reds caravan, everything with the team in the stadium, obviously everything with Pete Rose last year, and everything after his death. He's been such a synonymous part with this Reds organization, even after his broadcasting career, which is what these statues are for. I mean, think about the people that have statues, the players for the Reds. Obviously, all great players, but they all mean so much more to this team and to this city, and that's exactly what Marty represents. Obviously, one of the best announcers of all time, but he is the Reds. He is Cincinnati. So the fact that he'll be, immortalized out there forever, that's exactly where he belongs. I did see one question, probably the most important question: what hairstyle are we getting?
Yeah, it's
got to
be
be big, poofy, and silver.
It has to be that one. It can't be the short hair one.
It's either that or the full post 10-game win streak buzz cut. You got to go one of the two ends of the spectrum, I think.
I think it'll be the poofy hair.
I hope so.
I think it's going to be the poofy hair. You have to do the poofy hair. It's just legendary. It's ironic though, because I do remember for most of my conscious life, I remember like being a Reds fan, and I know him for the short hair. Yeah, right. I don't know him too much for the poofy hair, but
that's the image.
I want the poofy hair. Yeah,
that's the image.
That is the one I want. It's well deserved.
Absolutely, no question about it.
He is the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, that's. Again, was not expecting that news yesterday. I thought that was really cool when that came out, especially because, when they display it to him, I'm excited for when that happens as well. But yeah, a little off the bench, little family photo in front of the old Marty Brennaman statue.
I'm telling you, I'm going to take so many pictures with it. They're going to kick me out. I promise.
Other Reds news from yesterday as well. So we know, we talked a lot about the Reds offseason additions. Austin Hayes obviously was not the outfielder that we had, really kind of glamour and hope for, but they pulled the trigger there. Obviously, they make the trade for Brady Singer, and they've made some, moves throughout the offseason, of course. One move that does not get talked about a lot was Jose Trevino, coming in to be the backup catcher, and I think is an underrated move in that regards, but it definitely has not got the attention or the talking points like some of the other moves have. But it was just out of nowhere yesterday. Also, Reds news that caught my surprise. The Cincinnati Reds are signing Jose Trevino to a 3-year extension, around $15 million, with a club option, according to John Heyman. Trevino was set to be a free agent at the end of this upcoming season.
I think the biggest thing for me here off this extension, which I think is a good move, and once we see the numbers break down, it really turns out to be a 2-year deal, and I think that's something that's really important for us to have is consistent depth at the backup catcher position. And I think a lot of people jumped right away and said, "Oh, is this because Tyler's injury is a little worse than we expected, and they need Jose Trevino locked up?" I certainly don't think so. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's something that's happened, but I don't think an extension of Jose Trevino has anything to do with the Tyler Stevenson injury. I think if anything, it's the fact that the injury happened, not the duration of the injury. The fact that he keeps having, these bumps in the road, having maybe the best defensive catcher, one of the best defensive catchers in all of baseball as your backup when you have, your starter who you love and is a cornerstone of this team deals with these injury concerns. I think it's a very good thing for the Reds to have. I think Jose Trevino is going to be a crucial part of this Reds team, obviously, as we start with Tyler Stevenson on the IL, but even as we progress through the season, to give us that versatility of playing Tyler at DH and moving him around and having a little bit more, ability to play guys in different positions. And that you can't do that if Tyler has to catch every day. So to go from Luke Maile to Jose Trevino is about as big of a step as you can make at any one single position this offseason, all due respect to the hometown hero. But I'm very excited about the extension, very excited to have Jose Trevino with the Reds.
I wouldn't say I was excited about it. I wouldn't say this is a move that knocked my socks off. Like this is just we got to fill a position for the next couple of years, and that position is not exactly an exciting one. It's a backup catcher. Your role is to be a good defensive guy, and your offense is unimportant. And I would like a better offensive catcher to back up Tyler Stevenson. I can't get that. They're hard to come by, so I understand that Jose Trevino's the guy. And listen, there's clearly worse options out there than Jose Trevino, so I'm not going to be upset that the Reds extended a guy that clearly has made an impact with the guys out there this spring. I'd have a hard time believing if the Reds go out and make this move if the guys and Terry and everybody else on the staff didn't absolutely love him. So clearly he's bringing something to the table that everybody loves, and that's a good thing. He should be rewarded for that. The Reds do need that position. Last year they were absolutely brutal without a backup catcher. Absolutely brutal. I think Tyler Stevenson was, 20 games over 500 when he played. The Reds were 20 games under when backup catchers were involved. No disrespect to Luke Maile and Austin Wynns and everybody else who contributed. It's just a hard position to find out there. Tyler Stevenson's injury is concerning for this year specifically. But Trevino, to have a guy that can play defense at an elite level and can maybe contribute a little bit offensively, I'm not asking for a lot out of him. Just hit above the Mendoza, and I'll be okay. This move, by the way, I don't care about it. I was, when I heard it, I was like, what are we doing? I don't even understand that move. But I guess looking at it now with some hindsight, yeah, it's a fine, serviceable move.
Last season, the Reds, obviously, with all the deficiencies they had, one of the biggest ones was, of course, their defense. Obviously, they committed a lot of errors, whether it be base running errors, whether it be defensive errors, in the middle infield, outfield, wherever. Defense was going to always be a big focus for a Terry Francona-led ball club, eliminating and minimizing those mistakes and those errors and making defense more of a priority. And I think, Elliot, you brought up, Trevino. You wish it would be more of an offensive, production from your catcher, especially with the backup catcher in this position. But Jose Trevino, second among catchers in defensive runs saved since 2022. That, and I'm sure many other metrics, played a role in this. I think it's all about the defense at the end of the day, just because of the flexibility you have with Tyler. This is a move everyone's going to talk about with Tyler Stevenson being out. But I even think with Stevenson healthy and ways to keep Stevenson in the lineup more and more, to be able to move him around, to keep him in the lineup, and then having Trevino to play a lot as a catcher. I think Trevino's going to play a lot. I don't think we're going to see a little of him throughout the year. I think he's going to play a lot, and a lot of that has to do with finding ways to keep Stevenson in the lineup, moving him around in other positions, DH, that type of thing. I think defensively is the biggest reason he was signed for one of those stats that we just saw right there.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And I also think the big thing with an extension like this for a guy that the Reds traded for and then obviously hasn't even played a game yet in the regular season, he has to have made an impact already. He's been in Cincinnati, or I guess in Arizona, but with Cincinnati for a very, very short period of time. And the fact that they're already jumping on an extension, that means he's doing something right at spring training where they think he's a crucial piece to this team. And I know he's not the best hitter in baseball, but he's also a lot better than the backup catcher bats that we've had so far. The last 2 years haven't been great, 210 and 215, but in 2022, he was the all-star starter at catcher. He was a very, very good player, hitting nearly 250, 283 OBP, slugging 388. I mean, that's not also, that's not great numbers, but if you're a Gold Glove catcher putting that up, that's pretty good stuff. So I think he's about as good as it comes as a backup catcher, and that's something that I'm excited to have, especially when you expect those big offensive numbers to come from elsewhere in the lineup. I think that's the biggest thing. We're not hanging our hat on Jose Trevino being one of the best bats for the Reds. We're really hoping that he can be, if he's a great defender and Ellie's, a 40 home run guy, that changes everything a little bit differently if you go down the lineup. So I don't think I'm holding my breath for Trevino to be any kind of offensive addition to this team. Just, keep it even. When you come up to the plate, I don't want to be pulling my hair out saying it's an automatic out, but, if you're as good as you've been over the last few years, I think it's going to be okay, and I think it's a pretty good backup catcher to have.
The team desperately needed to improve defense, and they desperately needed to improve offense. You get one half of that with Trevino, so I won't be too upset with it. I just think in a lineup that desperately needs help, having a lost spot in the lineup is not going to be ideal. And again, I'm not going to call him a lost spot yet. I'm not going to expect too much out of him. I'm not going to expect him to hit 250 like he did when he was in the All-Star game. I'm not going to expect him to do that. I hope he can hit his weight. That's all I want.
Last year, Graham Ashcraft, more Reds news, moving on to another Reds headline here. Last year, Graham Ashcraft, obviously, his production declined big time. And we at one point thought, well, we've probably seen the last of Graham Ashcraft with the Cincinnati Reds, obviously back with them throughout spring. And he has a new role with the Cincinnati Reds. He will be transitioning over to the bullpen. And I think that's one headline. But the second headline is how excited he is about that and how he has stepped forward to embrace it as well. Graham Ashcraft goes on to say that I'm excited about it. It's something that's been going around for a while. When they originally called me up, that was kind of what they wanted me to do. And when I just had to fill a role when Connor Overton got hurt in 2002, it just kind of stuck. But he talks about the adrenaline of coming in out of the bullpen. He said the adrenaline rush is awesome. I'm excited to kind of get to experience that side of it. Graham Ashcraft going to be part of the Cincinnati Reds pitching staff in 25. As we've discussed in the past, we thought maybe he would be contending for that fifth spot in the rotation, especially with certain guys being banged up. Of course, he will be part of the pitching staff, just part of the bullpen. How we feel about Graham Ashcraft, Reds pitching staff, but coming out of the bullpen at this point in time.
I'm still buying bullpen Bulldog stock.
So am I.
I think that's the biggest thing.
Graham Ashcraft, when he doesn't have to face the lineup 3 times, I like my chances with him being a good pitcher.
Yes.
So that's what you're going to get this year, and I'm excited for him in that role. If he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be one of the best relievers on this team.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We bought Graham Ashcraft stock a few weeks ago and got killed for it on the graphic that got tweeted out. But I'm not buying him to be, the number 3 of the big 3 that he was a few years ago. I'm buying him to be a meaningful reliever that is in that Nick Martinez multiple innings role, facing, getting 6 outs, getting 5 outs. I think that's where he'll really thrive, and I think that's where he can be a real crucial piece to this Reds team where you feel good when he's coming out of that bullpen. Whatever song he picks, I'll be happy when it plays, I think. So that's why I'm buying the stock. I think it's a good change for him. He's a guy that, he was part of the big 3. We labeled them the big 3.
We did.
And now we're supposed to sell stock on him as a reliever? I'm not all the way there yet. I think I do believe that he can be a crucial piece of this team.
I like Graham Ashcraft a lot. I really do. I think he can be good.
Again, and that kind of carries over, staying with the pitching with the Cincinnati Reds. So busy day for the Reds. Again, the Reds moved Graham Ashcraft to the bullpen. And everyone's favorite Reds reporter, Gordon Whitmire, was one of the first to put that out there with the Inquirer, by the way. Andrew Abbott.
Well.
Yeah.
His Cubs did well in Tokyo.
His Cubs did do well.
But when it comes to the rotation, obviously we knew Hunter Green's going to be the opening day starter. The rotation shakes out with Hunter Green, obviously right at the top. Then you have Nick Lodolo, Nick Martinez, third in the rotation, and then obviously Brady Singer, who they traded Jonathan India for, one of the first big moves of the offseason outside of hiring Terry Francona. Of course, your rotation is set with those 4. We were kind of waiting to hear who the 5th pitcher was because we all just assumed it was going to be Andrew Abbott. But with health issues with him, obviously it kind of led to a question mark who was going to be at 5. Another name we could have potentially saw at 5 could have been Rhett Lauder, who we saw great things from in his 1-month call-up last year in the month of September. But he had a restricted throwing program when spring training started as well. So it's Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Nick Martinez, obviously Brady Singer at 4, and now we finally know that because Andrew Abbott's going to start on the IL, Carson Spears is going to be the 5th man in the rotation. We now know what the Reds' 5-man rotation looks like to start the season.
Yeah, I hate that. I mean, I just flat out don't like it. And it's you're already seeing injury stuff with Spencer Steer and Tyler Stevenson and Andrew Abbott. And this is just what I didn't want to have to deal with. I didn't want to have to deal with all this. I think Spires is serviceable. He can eat innings. That's just like when you talk about rotations in Major League Baseball, you don't think of Carson Spires being a part of that. So I'm pretty disappointed that Andrew Abbott's not going to be ready to start this year. I hope that maybe it means that he's going to be able to stay healthy longer later on in the season. I guess that's the only positive I have to take away from that news. But I don't think Carson Spires is a very serious candidate to be a contributor in this rotation. I'm very disappointed in that.
I think a lot of people that are very upset with not having Rhett Lauder take that spot are forgetting what caused Rhett Lauder to pitch for the Reds last year, regardless of how great he was. And he was great for that last month. It was awesome to see and everything along those lines. But now that we have the bodies back, the normal starters, the major league guys, I don't fault the Reds for going back towards the timeline that they saw originally. I'm in no rush to rush these guys up, especially pitchers, and maybe stunt their growth. I know that Lauder was great last year in the month that he was up. If they think that it's best for him to start this spring training in AAA and get his feet wet again after, again, he started spring training with a shortened throwing program and an injury to that shoulder, I think that's important. I'm much higher on Rhett Lauder than I am on really a lot of guys on this pitching staff, and I think the biggest thing for him is keeping him healthy, keeping him mentally locked in, and if they think the best way to do that is to start him in spring training or in AAA, I really don't have a problem with that. Would I like to see him pitch over Carson Spires? Absolutely. It's much more fun to turn your TV on and see Rhett Lauder on the mound than Carson Spires. But if that's going to be happening, in September and October, maybe the best route to get there is to not have him pitch in March and April. So
I would have liked to see Rhett Lauder. I think being competitive is important in the Reds. Obviously, I believe in Terry Francona. I believe in the staff. I think this move kind of stinks. I think Carson Spires is a fine player for the White Sox. Like for the 2025 White Sox, he can be a pitcher number 6. I like for the Reds as a team that I think has a chance to compete this year. This is a move that is going to frustrate me for a while. I hope he outpitches my expectations. That's for sure. The bar is low.
We do have some positive news on the Andrew Abbott front. About 10 minutes ago, it was tweeted that he will be trying to work up to 75 pitches in his next scheduled start. It seems like that start could come on the day rosters are set. Good. So about 6 days away. Abbott could be pitching again in the minor leagues, working up to 75 pitches. He does have a minimum of, I believe it's 10 days on the IL once the season starts, so the earliest he could return is April 7th at San Francisco. Could be his first start if he does spend opening day on the IL, which is the expectation, considering the next time we'll see him pitch won't even be until the rosters are set.
Yep.
So he will be on that IL to start the year. Something to keep an eye on for sure, because as you said, whether it's Lauder or not, whatever the reason is for keeping him down, we don't necessarily know for sure. The best option is Andrew Abbott. So regardless of either way, we got to hope that the Reds can get back healthy. And obviously, we're sitting here less than a week towards opening day talking about a key catcher, Tyler Stevenson being out, Andrew Abbott not being in the rotation. We did so well. We did so well for so long, and now we're 6 days away from opening day, and we got the injuries coming up. So hopefully they slow down. Hopefully they stop. But we know last year during spring training, obviously a little earlier than right now, but when they started, they just snowballed, and we got the season from hell. So I really, really hope. We didn't go to Arizona this year, so maybe that helps. Maybe that helps, but hopefully the snowballing can stop with these two injuries, and the Reds can be mostly healthy going into the regular season.
Well, the thing too is not everyone could be the Dodgers, where you have an ace pitching every single day of the week, right? Like I think
for
that
your AAA team,
and for your
Bobby Miller
exactly.
down to AAA.
Yeah.
Sung Kim playing second base for whoever the LA AAA team is.
But it's one of those two where if the worst thing for the pitching at this point is that their fifth starter is a little banged up heading into the season, and it sounds like they're ramping it up to the 75 pitch mark. It's March. I'm not going to freak out. Like if this is like an extended absence of Andrew Abbott, we're getting a month, 2 months into the season. That's kind of brutal, especially a month. Right off the bat, but because it's the fifth starter in the rotation, I'm not freaking out over that. I mean, the bottom line is you look at the series with the Giants to kick everything off. I mean, obviously Nick Lodolo has to be who we anticipate him to be, but I mean, when's the last time we were this confident as Reds fans with who we throw out there on a day in, day out basis? I mean, if Andrew Abbott's out for an extended absence, 4 of every 5 games, I'm going to feel extremely confident that the Reds have a pitcher going out on that mound to start that's going to put us in a position to win games. And I don't know the last time the Reds have had that where we've been confident in 1 through 4 at least. And when Andrew Abbott gets back, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to be confident as long as those 5 are healthy. I'm pretty damn confident that the Reds can win not every game, not 162 games. But those guys, I'm going to feel confident in their opportunity and their probability of winning a game that day with those guys on the mound. And I like that Giants series. Obviously, you're going to have Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and Nick Martinez. Those 3 pitchers right there, when they're on their A game, those give the Reds a humongous opportunity to win some ball games. And I like Brady Singer. And when Andrew Abbott comes back, I mean, if those are the back end of your rotation guys, that's a good thing. I think this is not a good thing that Andrew Abbott's out. I just think it's not as big a deal as what we want to make it out to be, that we're talking about Spires having to come in to take that 5th spot in the rotation for hopefully just a small amount of time. We'll see. But yeah, Spencer Steer, add that name to the list too. You said a little bit ago, Andrew Abbott and Tyler Stevenson, Spencer Steer as well.
At least we have awesome outfield depth, so that's not a problem.
I see that, Luis, and now I'm pissed because now we're back to having to figure out how to say his name again. We all seem calm. I think as a team, we've decided it's Robert, right? Like
I'm rocking. I think I'd rather be wrong on Robert than wrong on Robert. So I'm going to rock with Robert.
I'm going Robert.
Okay, see, that's good. Diversify your assets.
Robert seems fancier, though. Like, Luis Roberts doesn't sound like a good ball player, but Luis Robert.
I'm respecting the player. I'm a players analyst here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all the broadcasters say Robert. He says Robert in interviews.
Okay.
So I'm rocking with that.
But I see that chatter picking up again. I don't know at what point the Reds front office gets a little anxious and pulls the trigger on a move. I'm not saying to anticipate it, but I have seen that chatter pick up where fans are constantly throwing that name out on social media now. If it wasn't enough to move the needle for them when things were hot and heavy in the middle of the offseason, I highly doubt it's going to be enough to move the needle now that we're just less than a week away from opening day. I think this is who you got. Look, we know the answer of the rotation. We know Graham Ashcraft's in the bullpen. We know the limitations you have in the outfield with Spencer Steer being banged up. I mean, we have an idea of who first and third is going to be, right? Like we know Matt McClain and Ellie are second and short. I'm curious who's opening day, who's at third on opening day and first and all that fun stuff. Obviously, everything's matchup and pitching based. I get that, but still not a whole lot of answers from that front either.
I think CES is going to play first until he's hurt.
Yeah.
Until he's hurt.
Pretty much every day. I think that position, at least Reds organizationally, whether you believe in him or not, I'm saying from their organizational perspective,
sure.
I think he is their everyday first baseman. I just have a hard time believing that they're going to go into the season with another plan. And then at third base, I think it's cross your fingers, hope, and pray that by the middle of the summer, Noel Marte remembers how to play baseball.
Yeah.
Or Jamer Candelario ages backwards about 2 years.
I think that could be a very, very real
Is
thing.
that the third base plan?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think that might be the third base plan. But it's just all a toss-up. I'm starting to lose hope, boys. I'm starting to lose hope real fast. I had
mid-season form, Elliott. I love it.
I'm very confident in our win total. But that means nothing.
It means nothing.
All right, well, we'll step away for a few. I know you guys are driving the bus the rest of the way. Yes, I apologize. I have to pop out early again. The state tournament's here, and I have to call all those dang games coming up this weekend. So good times, but appreciate you guys being patient. I do have to bounce out. You guys drive the bus the rest of the way.
That's the best basketball you could possibly watch over the next 48 hours, so that's good.
That's right.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to top what I saw at the arena the other night. Xavier, baby. Woo! Xavier getting a tournament win on Dayton's home floor. How about that? That was a great night. So, all right, guys, I'll talk to you guys next week. Show continues, but I'll be back next week. More off the bench with Elliott, Jacob, and Casey when we come back.
Adios, doggy.
That's right. That's right.
We did it
It's
again.
us.
We did it again.
It's us. What do we do? Oh, we left it on.
That's a real shame, man. That's a
Left
real
it on.
shame. We left the headsets on.
Left it on.
Now I got 20 minutes with the headset on when I don't need it on. It's supposed to be a good Friday.
This is good. This is good Friday vibes. Good Friday
Now
vibes.
Casey's rubbing it in, then he can take his off.
I'm
'cause
doing
he's
it.
not on-
I'm doing
I
it.
don't know.
I'm doing it.
Oh man, the wind on my ears.
I hate it so much.
What a day! What
I
a
hate
day.
it so much.
All right. You know what happens when Kenner leaves and it's just Elliot and I, and we got a full day of sports? It's the pick
Bets.
segment.
It's just bets.
It's the pick segment.
It's just bets from this point on. So I do apologize for those of you who do not gamble because this is a gambling segment. Casey, did you probably didn't even bet yesterday? Did you bet anything or no?
I did not. Should have.
I
I should have took
finished-
all the picks I had yesterday because I would have won some money.
There you
Bet
go.
today? Are you gonna bet today?
No.
Disappointing.
I have not even remotely been betting with my bracket.
Yeah.
And that is very smart. I used to be like, oh, I picked this team, I'll bet on them too, and then I just get double sad. My bracket, I check my bracket at night. During the day, I'm going to bet on who I think is going to win the games.
Yeah.
They don't have anything to do with each other.
Not even a little bit.
You got to be able to save yourself. Yesterday, I did pretty well. Yesterday, I ended 9-8, so positive record.
Yeah.
$3 total up. That's awesome.
Love that.
That's awesome.
You can't ask for a better day than that.
As of now, I have 12 open bets today.
12 open bets.
I do, yes.
Okay. I've got, if you include parlays, I've definitely got a lot more.
No
than that.
parlays. No parlays.
No parlays today. Just straight bets. I'm going to go find my bracket real quick. So hold on. Because I think my bracket is the worst this year than it's ever
You got the
been.
little ice emoji?
Ice, yeah.
That's killer.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
There's no worse feeling than
it's-
opening the
it's-
ESPN Tournament Challenge and seeing the ice emoji.
It's absolutely terrible. So I did a little bracket challenge, and we got about 50 people in this bracket challenge.
There you go.
I ranked 40th in it. I have been absolutely terrible. Now, in years past, I've been very good at picking the first round games.
Yeah.
And then in the Sweet 16, I lose everything.
Okay.
This year, I'm hoping it's the opposite. I'm hoping my Sweet 16 and late round picks
Are
are
good.
going to be worth it because
That's good.
my first round picks have been absolute trash. Bracket busted day one. It's been I'm hitting it off, what is that, 49% clip so far? Mm-hmm. Terrible. Okay, so real quick. I had Louisville.
We do have 2 bits of breaking news.
We do?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, for what?
Ohio State versus Texas, week 1 next year will be big noon kickoff.
I love playing at noon.
They're Ohio State and Texas fans are both very mad about that. And Grant Nelson's healthy. Grant Nelson will be coming off the bench for Alabama against Robert Morris and expected to start in the round of 32.
Okay.
So big news
That is
for
big news.
Alabama because they were not. I do not think they were going to lose to Robert Morris without Grant Nelson. I also don't expect them to play much today.
Yeah.
They are very susceptible without him. They need him very, very badly. So could not be bigger news for Alabama.
There we go. Alabama plays who after this, you said?
It'll be the winner of St. Mary's and Vanderbilt.
Okay. So
And then
they'll win.
after that, it'll be the winner of
What
BYU.
did Alabama do to Vandy this year?
Beat them by 30 in Vandy.
Yeah, I was going to say. That's disgusting.
I don't want to play SEC teams as little as possible for Alabama. I just don't like. And my friends that are Auburn fans feel the same way about A&M. They're like, we do not, even though we've beaten them and taken care of them, just playing a team for a 3rd or a 4th or a 5th time in a lot of these situations.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare to me. The team I don't want to play most, and obviously the bracket works out where it would only be in the final, or maybe the Final Four, but I think just the final. The team I don't want to play most is Kentucky, which is kind of crazy because we beat them 3 times by a combined 80 points.
But they fight. They're a fighter.
Did they fight in the SEC tournament?
No, they died.
Not even a little. They didn't fight at all.
No, they died. But
Yeah.
to be fair, they didn't have to win that one.
No, you're right. You're right.
They fought in the games that I watched in the regular season, so that's all that matters.
They're a good team. Matega Owe, transferring. Bama.
Was he from Bama?
He's a senior. No, he's transferring.
Oh, I see.
The rumor is he's entering the portal after
Oh,
the
I
year.
see. I see what you're saying.
And when you have a coach like Nate Oates and anyone enters the portal, you just say Bama.
I see what you're saying.
Because he does that a lot.
I see what you're saying. All right, so we're gonna do picks. Let's do some picks for today.
That's right.
I want to do a little bit picks for tomorrow too, since we're not gonna be here.
I love it.
So
I would love to pick some games for Sunday as well.
we don't know. We got.
Well,
Hypothetical?
Well, we'll
Okay.
pick these games.
Okay,
and
I
then
see.
we'll pick the Sunday games.
So, Casey, you're going to tiebreaker vote again.
Love
So,
that.
and we'll do the Sunday vote. Sunday bets. Sunday picks without any teams. Here we
you got
go.
to figure out what the games are, so you want to write this down.
At 12:15, we're going to watch a little bit of this for box lunch.
That's
a little
right.
bit of this for box lunch.
That's
Today. Baylor, the 9 versus 8 Mississippi State. 12:15. I've got Baylor.
I also have Baylor.
Casey, sweep.
Baylor.
12:40.
This is we're doing number, right? Not just win or lose.
You mean this? You're talking about spread?
Yeah. Or are we just doing win-lose? That's up to you.
No, we'll do spread.
Okay.
We'll do spread. All right, Casey. Alabama minus 22.5 over Robert Morris.
22.5.
It's way too big of a number.
Yeah, I'm taking Alabama.
I'm taking Robert Morris.
I'm going to take Robert Morris as well. Okay.
I
all
brought
right.
it down to 19.
He's on Robert
I brought
Morris
it down
now.
to 19.
Good.
I do think they win by 20.
Lipscomb, I believe they're 14-point dogs.
I don't think you can say that on radio, but I will take Lipscomb.
That's the name of their school. Lipscomb, 14-point dogs. I'm going to take Lipscomb as well.
I am not. I'm going to take Iowa State. I think Lipscomb might keep it close, might cover, but it'll be close to cover. Not close at all in the game.
Okay.
So I am going to take Iowa State to cover that spread.
All
But
right.
I think it'll be a nail-biter.
Casey?
Iowa State.
All right, Iowa State advances per our bracket.
Probably the best game of the day right above that. Ole Miss, North Carolina.
Ole Miss, North Carolina. You want to do that one now?
I thought you were going in bracket. Or
I was going by time. I was going by time.
Okay.
I was going by time.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your segment.
That's all right. Colorado State, 2-point favorites. They're the 12 seed against Memphis. I'm going to take Colorado State. Memphis down a player. I think Memphis stinks. If you watch Memphis basketball this year, you know how frustrating that
How
team is to
woke are
watch.
you on the committee flipped Louisville and Memphis without realizing it?
If that's the case, then that's one of the great injustices in the history of the sport.
What do you think?
I think they might have.
Because it makes no sense that Memphis is a 5.
I think they might have. It
It would be pretty funny.
because the committee clearly had no idea what they were doing this year. No idea. I'm going to take Colorado State though to win by 2.5. Casey,
Colorado State.
12-5. That's a unanimous 12-5.
No, I'm not going to take Colorado State just because they're favored,
I
but
see.
I do think they could win.
I see.
I don't understand why is a 12 favorite over 5.
No idea.
That's why I'm taking Memphis.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But I picked Colorado State in my bracket.
Duke minus. How about this one? 32. You think Duke's got in it to cover 32 points against Mount St. Mary's?
No, but I adore the under in that game.
Do you? What is
Adore
it?
142, I believe.
142?
Or at least that's what it was this morning.
32 points is where I draw the line at what I can bet. Like 28, 20, 32. Like those types of spreads are too big for me.
Yeah.
I'll take Mount St. Mary's, I guess.
Plus 32. That's a good bet.
It's 30 points.
Yeah, Mount St. Mary's.
Vanderbilt taking on St. Mary's. St. Mary's minus, I believe, 4 right now. 4.5.
Yep. I'm going to take St. Mary's. I think they slow it down. They're 28-5. Vanderbilt just not that good in the SEC. Lost every good team, so I'm going to take St. Mary's.
I think the SEC sucks, and I'm going to take St. Mary's to win this game by 5 points.
Correct. Me too.
UNC, as Jacob brought up, they are 2-point favorites over Ole Miss, the 11 seed over the 6 seed. That's just all public money pouring in on North Carolina. I just agree with the public. I think North Carolina is better.
Very fair. Yeah, I'm going to take Ole Miss. I do think the power has to, the Cinderella run has to run out at some point.
Yeah.
You do remember, obviously, when they're playing they're playing good basketball right now. They don't belong in this field. So I just have a hard time. If they do get over Ole Miss in that game, then I am going to nuclear missile whale Iowa State on Sunday.
I will say, if North Carolina wins this game, I'm going to start feeling real good about my championship future on them.
On North Carolina.
20 to win $4,000.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Did you pick? Did you pick that one? Did you pick it? Pick it.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I got North Carolina. Jacob's got Ole Miss.
I have Ole Miss.
Grand Canyon, the 13 seed, taking on Maryland. We think Maryland is going to cover that number. I think that number's what, 12?
10.5.
10.5.
So I did buy it down to single digits, brought it down to 9, but it is one of my bigger plays of the day. I just think Power 5 teams that run – this is anecdotal stat, not a real stat, anecdotal stat. Power 5 teams that run their offense through a star big against non-Power 5 teams, smaller teams, especially in double-digit seeds. I feel like those are games you dominate. I mean, just look at the Michigan game last night. Shock to the system of UCSD to have 2 7-footers on the floor. So the fact that Maryland runs through Derek Queen, ISO ball with the bigs, there's no way Grand Canyon can hang around.
I'm going to take Maryland as well. I think they cover 11. Gonna go with the antelopes or whatever they are.
Antelopes or the tortoises.
Why is it Maryland crabs?
I don't know.
It's like their whole thing.
I think it would be a memeable thing, though.
And a turtle's not?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I'll go with the Grand Canyon.
He's going Grand Canyon. We go to Florida versus Norfolk State. 1 versus 16. That spread's 28.5.
I love it.
I'm going to take Florida.
Love 28.5. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Who are Florida's 3 best players? They're 7'3", 7'4", and 7'6".
Yeah.
They're all 3 going to be on the floor at the same time. Norfolk State's going to drown.
Yeah, I'm not going to have Norfolk State covering that one. I think that one's the biggest blowout of the day. That's the worst game of the day. I'll put my stamp on
Is that a less watchable game than Houston?
Yeah.
The only reason I would maybe say no is just because Florida's not the defensive team. So like maybe we're looking at a 90-50 game instead of a 78-40 game.
That's going to be, and you could prove me wrong on this one, that's going to be the most forgettable game of this.
Does
of
Florida
this
score 100?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think so, too.
Oh, yeah.
I think so, too. I think there's 200-point games today. And you're not, I mean,
if there's
you're just going to disagree with the other
if there's a bet on like who can score the most points, I don't know. I'm sure that's out there.
Yeah.
Take Florida to do that because they're going to dominate. Casey?
Florida.
Going over to Troy versus Kentucky.
I'm going to find Florida's team total for that game while you're reading this next one.
11.5. The University of Kentucky's favored over Troy. I think Kentucky's good, but here's my thing. That spread makes no sense. I think that spread should be like more like 14,
None.
15.
It's 11.5.
I'm going to take Kentucky minus 12 or minus 11.5 to beat Troy here. I hate the pick, but that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kentucky as well. I think they take care of business. They are a good team as much as I hate them, and I think they're dumb. But I think Mark Pope's a good coach, and I think Kentucky's a good enough team that they'll get through this one. This is a game Cal loses, though.
This is a game Cal loses, 100%.
For sure, this is the game Cal loses.
Casey?
Yeah, I'm taking Kentucky too.
Florida's team total in that game, just take a guess.
I'm going to guess 98.5.
90.
90.
90.5.
Marquette, the 7th seed, taking on New Mexico, where Marquette is favored by a few. I think 3.5 or 4?
3.5, I believe. Let me double check. Yes, it is 3.5. I am taking New Mexico. I know that's the public pick. I know everyone's on Marquette. Big East after yesterday, and big stupid dumb public's taking New Mexico. Well, I'm big stupid dumb public in this game because I can't hate both Patinos. I'm going to take the Patino brother in this one. New Mexico beats Marquette.
I'm going to take Marquette. I think Marquette's good. So Casey?
Yep, Marquette.
All right, we got 2 for Marquette. This is my whale play of the day.
Alabama's team total is 97.5. That's the only. That's the other team I was checking. Yeah.
Arizona minus 14 today, minus 13.5 against Akron. I'm hammering Arizona.
This is one of my favorite numbers of the day. 14.5. I think they get out and run. Every single thing Akron tries to do well, Arizona just does a little bit better.
Yep, I agree.
The only thing that scares me about that game, and it's the thing that scares me betting on Arizona every single game for the last 2 years, it scared me betting on North Carolina the year before that. Caleb Love is one of the best point guards in the entire country when he's playing good basketball.
Yep.
When he's not, the team that he's playing point guard for has zero chance in that game. Zero chance.
I agree.
He will go 0 for 12 from 3 in a game this tournament. I just think it's going to be against Duke in 2 weeks.
I think Arizona destroys them, and I think they lose to Duke, but we'll see. We'll see. Oklahoma versus UConn, the 9 versus 8. UConn favored by 3. That's one I've been a toss-up because I really don't like either of these teams. But I'm going to go with the guy who's won back-to-back national championships and has covered every single game for like 3 years.
And that's a very fair bet. The only reason I'm taking Oklahoma is because I think people just want UConn, Florida more than any matchup in the round of 32. Fair. And I just think another anecdotal stat, when people want a certain 8 or 9 to play a 1 to get that upset, that doesn't happen. Usually the other 8 or 9 wins that game. So I'm taking Oklahoma. And I do love Fears. I always forget which Fears is on Michigan State and which Fears is on Oklahoma. But the Fears on Oklahoma is very, very good.
Oh, yeah.
So very fun team to watch. Good guard play. I think they're a fun team.
We go to
Porter Moser. He's been floating around for some of these jobs.
Yeah.
Some of these big time jobs. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe he's a foot out of the door.
Case, you got UConn or Oklahoma?
I kind of agree with Jacob's thinking. I'm going Oklahoma.
NCAA tournament round. Here we go. Xavier, Illinois. The 11 taking on the 6. Xavier is a 3-point dog. I'm going to go with the Muskies.
Yeah, me too. Illinois, I've seen them play horrendous enough this year that I can talk myself into them doing it again.
Yeah, I'm going Muskies. I don't like the pick, but I think Xavier's got more momentum.
Who will X play next? Who will be their second round if they get past Illinois?
Kentucky.
Oh, they could win that game.
That's what I'm saying. I think they could beat Kentucky too.
That would not be good for X fans. I think you want to beat Kentucky, obviously, because the proximity and the fan bases and everything like that. You want to win a game. You want to get out of this tournament before Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee will make Xavier look foolish.
Unless it's in like the Elite Eight, which it won't be. But
Well,
if
it would
it
be in the
was,
Elite Eight.
it would be in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Okay, so then maybe they will because they can't get to a Final Four.
No, it would be in the Sweet 16.
Oh, it'll be Sweet 16. Okay.
It would be to go to the Elite Eight.
I see.
They would play Houston in the Elite
I
Eight.
see.
That would be a really good game in the Elite Eight because I think the
what-
over-under would be 100.
100.
Houston, Tennessee. Who's scoring points in that game?
Nobody. Just a lot of rebounds.
Oh, that game would be awesome. That'd be good ball. That'd
Casey,
be
you
good
got
ball.
the Muskies. You got the Illinois.
I got Muskies.
All right. Heading over to Bryant versus Michigan State.
The most bet 15 or 16 this year is Bryant.
They're tall.
They are taller than Michigan State.
They are taller than Michigan State. It's 17 points. I'm going to take Bryant. I'm taking Bryant to cover.
I'm not. I think I'm just not. I think that Michigan State's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're one of the worst 2 seeds for sure, but they're a fine team. They're a good basketball team, and Bryant doesn't have Doug Adler anymore. So
I see. Casey, Bryant, or Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Michigan State. All right, and we go to our final game of the night at 10:10. I think this is going to be one of the best games of the day. Liberty 12, Oregon 5. Oregon's favored by 7.5. I'm going to take Liberty. I think Oregon wins that game, but I think Liberty covers that spread.
I'm all over Oregon. I think Oregon's really, really good. I don't like watching Liberty play basketball, so I'm not going to bet on them and then have to watch them play another game.
Yeah, I agree. That's fair.
Didn't we watch Liberty?
We did.
That was in the chatter. Yeah,
the AIA tip-off.
Correct. Going over to tomorrow real quick, because tomorrow's scheduled. So I'm going to read off these teams. I don't know the spreads of these, Jacob, at all. So
I will have them if they are available.
Purdue versus McNeese State, 4 versus 12.
Purdue
at
minus
noon.
5.5.
I will hammer McNeese State.
I will wade for you.
That's
Give me
correct.
McNeese.
That's correct. Casey?
Yeah, McNeese.
The only reason I picked against McNeese in the first round with so much confidence was because I thought they didn't have a coach. Now it turns out that their coach is as committed as maybe he's ever been to the program. So, yeah, I'm going to be back on McNeese now.
If we knew that going into yesterday,
I would have taken McNeese.
It would have been so easy.
Fundamental change.
It would have been so
Fundamental
easy.
change.
Arkansas at 240, the 10 seed taking on St. John's. I think
St. John's minus 6.5.
Yeah, I'm going to take St. John's minus 60.5 because I don't think that game's close.
Arky.
Hogs.
Woo! Big Suey!
Sure, why not? Pick Suey. Let's go.
All right, that's two out of 3 against
Rick
St.
Pitino
John's
said, I'm getting Cal off my resume by taking St. John's to the Final Four. What if Cal gets Rick Pitino off his resume by taking Arkansas to the Final Four?
That's fair. That would be unfortunate for my guy. I think St. John's is good. I think Arkansas got past a Kansas team that's legitimately a disgrace to the sport.
Hunter Dickinson, shout out you. Hope you enjoy LinkedIn, pal.
He's the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's terrible. Absolutely terrible. He's bad at basketball, and he's a bad guy.
And he's the highest paid player.
No.
One of them.
The highest paid player is even worse at basketball. Coleman Hawkins, Kansas State. $2 million.
He's getting paid $2 million.
It was a $2 million transfer. That's why I didn't necessarily love the clip of him crying afterwards.
Yeah, that's fair.
You chose to go there for $2 million.
5-seeded Michigan, 4-seeded Texas A&M.
These are 2 of my least favorite universities in the entire world.
Who you got?
I mean, I'm going to take A&M.
The under.
Yeah, I'm going to take A&M. They have the military.
I'll take Michigan because they've got great golf.
Okay.
Casey?
I'll do Michigan. Why not?
Trey Donaldson did stink in the SEC. Important to note.
He did stink. Drake, the 11 seed, taking on 3rd seed Texas Tech. I'm going to go with the underdog again. I'm going with Drake. I think Drake can play. If they can make free throws, they're going to win this game.
I think that number is way too low for me. It doesn't make any sense. 7.5 for Texas Tech. I think that should be at least a 10 or a 12-point spread. I'm all over Texas Tech. I think JT Toppin plus shooters might be the best formula in basketball. So
ain't no stopping.
I really, really like Texas Tech. I think I have them in my Elite 8, so I'm not giving up on them anytime soon.
Let's see. Casey?
Texas Tech.
Creighton, the 9 seed, 1 Auburn. I've seen enough out of Creighton. I'll take Creighton to win outright. But what's the spread on that?
Auburn minus 10.5.
Oh, yeah,
and
I'll
I
take
am
Creighton. Oh, boy.
licking my lips.
Oh, boy.
Licking my lips. Give me big cock. Give me big cock.
Lipscomb and Big Caulk. Casey,
I'll take Creighton.
the Blue Jays. Heading over to the 7:45 game, 6-seeded BY who?
Ooh.
BYU.
Oldest player in college basketball on BYU.
Is that right?
Yeah, older than Luka. Oldest player in the tournament, I should say.
That's right.
Not
You did
college
tell me. That's
basketball.
insane.
Also, a player on BYU, I'm forgetting his name. That's my bad. I should have that. But his great-grandfather, invented tater tots. Player on BYU.
That might have just changed my pick. I love tater tots. I'm going to take him over Wisconsin. I'm sure
Wow.
Wisconsin's favored by what?
Pick him.
Pick up a
Minus
point?
1.
Yeah, I was going to say a point. Casey, you got the cheese or you got BYU? The cheese or what did the BYU event? You said?
Soaking.
I'll take Wisconsin.
Was 2 for Wisconsin. That's good
Yeah, I'm
enough.
taking BYU. I don't want to play Wisconsin if I'm Alabama, so I'm taking the easier matchup.
Houston versus Gonzaga at 8:40.
Best game of the tournament. I mean, this is a Final Four game in the second round. I cannot wait to watch it. I'm going to take Houston. 5.5 is a small number. I know Gonzaga's been in 9 straight Sweet 16s, but what they did to SIU Edwardsville, I know that's a big jump in competition. I'm not comparing Gonzaga to SIU Edwardsville, but 78-40, that's just what they do. They haven't lost a game in regulation since November. I'm not moving off Houston.
I'm going to take Gonzaga to cover the spread, but Houston's going to win the game. I think that's a close game. I think Gonzaga is better than what people think this year, and I think Gonzaga has a chance to make a run. If they win this game, you might as well pencil them in for the Final Four.
Yeah, winner of this game comes out of the region. I'll stamp it right now.
Yeah. Casey?
I'll take Houston.
He'll take Houston. And finally, UCLA versus Tennessee at 9:40, the late game. I'll take UCLA.
Well, what's this line?
Guess it?
Yeah,
I'm going to guess.
because I love this line.
I'm going to guess Tennessee -6.
How about 4?
4. Okay.
Yeah, I'm all over Tennessee.
I'll take UCLA.
4 doesn't make a lot of sense.
I'll still ride with me.
I'll take Xavier over Kentucky on Sunday.
Okay.
I'll take Texas Tech over Arkansas.
Okay.
I'll take Alabama over St. Mary's. And Oregon over Arizona. There's an upset, 5/4.
Okay.
Oregon over Arizona on Sunday.
All right.
That's going to end up being Akron versus Liberty.
All right. There it is. Those are your picks for March Madness today. I think what we're going to do now, we're going to switch over to Boxed Lunch. We're going to do our Boxed Lunch stream for that first game. We're going to get ready. But thank you guys for tuning in today on a Friday. We will see you guys next week.